welcome to the Clifton Worley Show. This week we have Josh, we have Douglas King, and we have Michael Newman. And this is going to be the most southern episode, y'all, to date of the Clifton Worley Show. Now, this is in response to the other day. If any of you guys listen to the Gear Slum, we all do. They imitated myself and Doug talking to each other, and I had this idea that we should just get all the southern guys in the slum together. Of course, Josh isn't southern, and we were just gonna talk. Well, we're gonna get down to the bottom of linguistics and southern culture, and no, we're not gonna get that deep.
That's not us. What is this, a sociology podcast?
Sometimes I think it is. So, I thought it would be fun to talk about what's new, and I guess let's start with you, Douglas, and give you a minute here, and then we'll go to Michael and circle to Josh, and then I'll close that out.
Okay. Well, I really got two new things. I sold a bunch of pedals that I've had for a while, and actually got my hands on something that old Aaron from the Gear Slum told me that I needed to pick up. So I ended up getting a Mojo Hands FX Odessa. It's a twin overdrive. It has the Mojo Hand FX Rook on one side, and on the other side it has the Magpie overdrive. It's kind of a cool dual overdrive. And then the other pedal I got was a Keeley Caverns. I had never really had a dual delay and reverb pedal, but I've really had a lot of fun with both of these. I really like the sound that I can get out of both of them.
Yeah, so kind of walk me through that. The Mojo Hand, the Rook, I've heard of that. Is that kind of like a medium gain, low gain?
It's a tube screamer,
Okay.
clone, but it's got a active bass and treble that you can kind of blend in to get a little bit of a different sound than from your regular TS9.
Okay. Nice. And what do you think about the Caverns?
Oh man, that thing's awesome.
Yeah,
Is that the
I love
version 2? The new one? Or is that the old one?
It's the version 2.
okay. Yeah, I've looked at that one, and that would be a great one. Like if you had a smaller board where you were trying to do reverb and delay at the same time. I think that would be a really great pedal. Or if you was just like going direct to amp, and you could crank up your amp a little bit, and if you just needed one effect, like I could see that being kind of like a Swiss Army knife pedal for me, anyways.
Yeah, put it in a loop of something and you're all set, right?
Yeah.
But it was the reason why I got the Caverns was because I had a little bit bigger of a pedal board, and then I decided to kind of skim it down a little bit. So because I had a separate reverb and a separate delay, and then I had 3 or 4 overdrives. So I decided to sell all of that and just get the Odessa dual drive and the Caverns delay and reverb, and then I've got like 2 other pedals to go with it, and just kind of simplifying everything a little bit. Makes it a little easier to play when I'm playing out.
Yeah, absolutely.
Now, Doug, I'm kind of curious. What do you do with that gear? Well, I mean, are you playing at church exclusively? Do you have a band? What are you doing right now?
Well, I used to play at the church that we used to have here in Stewart, but our pastor had to retire, and we didn't have anybody else to take over the church, so I kind of had to go on a little church journey to find another home. But I think I finally found another place, and I'm trying to give it a little time before I let everybody there know that I play just trying to make sure I give enough time I don't seem too pushy.
Yeah, yeah. Okay.
But I gig a little bit. We've got a coffee shop that's probably 3 minutes from my house, and they do open mic, I think, every 2 weeks.
Sure.
And I'll go play there every now and then.
Ah, okay.
It's cool.
Cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now that's it's really interesting how many people are like one or the other. But after talking to you guys, it's like, yeah, there's a few people who do both. They go out and play at a regular gig or play at a regular open mic or something like that, and then go in Sunday morning and play at church. If you just went to Gear Talk, you'd think that well, there's only one real gig.
And it's the church gig.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's interesting. Yeah. Anything else new with you, Doug?
Well, yeah, I forgot about this. Recently, I got because I'd been looking for a jazz master for a while because I hear everybody talking about jazz masters, and I had never really tried a guitar with P90s. So I was looking on Reverb, and I saw this is gonna sound very southern, but it's called a Tajima Jazz Master.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it was $239 new, and it was shipped from Tennessee. And ever since I got it, I mean, it's been I've been surprised with how well this guitar plays and how well it sounds, especially since I put, probably, I know I've heard y'all talk about this a lot, but I put String Joy strings on this one, and I really like them.
Okay. Now, did you put, a lot of people with jazz masters say you have to put heavier strings on? Did you put 11s on there, or did you put 10s, or?
Actually, I put 10s.
And it still works out nicely for you?
Yeah. See, with this one, it doesn't have the standard jazz master like tremolo system.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, good. Yeah. It has like a stop bar or something, or?
It has a Strat tremolo system on it.
Oh, okay. Well, that's probably a lot easier to get solid for not too much money than the more complicated jazz master system, and it also makes the string angle easier because those old systems are kind of meant for, unless you get a mastery, they're kind of meant for like 12s or 11s to actually work right. Otherwise, there's not enough tension, and they get all wonky, and they sound funny, and they buzz. That's why there's such a big aftermarket parts market there, for sure. Cool. I mean, that's really interesting. You get into offsets and P90s, and you never really had a P90 guitar. Yeah, that's cool. That's cool. Have you always played 25.5 scale, or do you play some Les Paul sometimes, or like Gibson scale?
Well, yeah, actually, I kind of go from one guitar to a different one. I've got Strat, I've got Les Paul, I've got kind of a 335 style guitar, I've got a PRS that I play every once in a while, and
wow,
the Jazz Master's been the real different one, other than my acoustics, but it was one that kind of changed everything a little.
Yeah. Did you have to do anything to it?
Actually, straight out of the box. I mean, it stays in tune. It sounds good. I mean, I had to adjust it just a little, but once I put the strings on it and got everything adjusted with the string height and everything, and did just your normal setup on it, it plays. I mean, I played an American Jazz Master at one of the local shops we have. Well, not really near here, but close to here. But I played one there, and I mean, I don't see that much of a difference.
Yeah. Where did you run across this brand? Did you see it for sale somewhere and just decided to take a chance on it?
Yeah, I was looking on Reverb actually while I was at the beach, and because I had been looking at, they had a vintage modified Jazz Master on Reverb for like, I think it was $250, but I saw this one for $239. I was like, well, I've never tried a Jazz Master, and I've never really heard of this brand, but I mean, I looked them up. The guitars are made in Brazil, and I mean, I've looked at their website, and it looked like they were a pretty decent brand. So yeah, I was like, well, $239, I'll give it a try and see how well it works, and see, if I might have found me another cheap guitar brand that I can use.
Mm-hmm. That's interesting. I like to know, like when somebody runs across a lesser known brand that's pretty solid. I kind of like to know about those because believe it or not, there's a lot of great guitars being made than the other, big box brands. That's not a knock against, Fender or Gibson or PRS, but there's a lot of really good stuff being made at some really good price points, and so I'm always interested. That's like Ryan Burke. He was talking about the Harley Bentons he played over in Germany, and I'd love to, kind of get my hands on one of those as well. Try that out because the price points on those are so low. I mean, it's almost like why not, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
A lot of people say that the SX and the Roundup Music stuff is pretty good too, and
Mm-hmm.
it's really amazing what you can get these days. You can get any style of guitar you want, really, at and almost any price point. Except for a good, the only thing that's kind of an exception is an acoustic. Although, with Nick's Recording King and the way that thing sounds, even there, 300 bucks or less, and you get a completely playable acoustic with some pieces of hardware that are better than $1,000 acoustics.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. That's it's amazing. I would say 15, 20 years ago, this stuff was non-existent. They had those price points, but not the quality wasn't there at all those price points. Well, Doug, I wanted to ask you something too. I've noticed some videos that you've put up that your wife sometimes plays some music with you. Do y'all play out together?
Yeah, actually, we have a few times, but she's a little more shy than I am. But she won't admit this, and I hate to admit it on a podcast, but actually, my wife is a much better guitar player than I am.
Oh wow, that's awesome. So, is that how y'all met, playing music, or how did that come about?
Well, actually, to be honest, when we first met, I had owned a guitar when I was maybe 14,
Mm-hmm.
and I learned the basic songs that everybody learned, Smoke on the Water and stuff like that. But I never really got into it. But actually, when me and my wife met, she did not want to date a musician. She did not want to date a guy that wanted to play music, that cared anything about music. She did not want that because some of her previous boyfriends had, they were really into bands and really into music, and they were kind of, being a little hateful. But yeah, that's the way it goes sometimes.
That's interesting. That's interesting for sure. So I've seen where like you've been playing guitar and she'll like jump on the drums. I mean, she seems like she plays multiple instruments.
Yeah, she's super talented. That's one of the things I love about her. It's kind of a love-hate thing. She can she can pick up a guitar and just pick these songs out of her brain that she probably hasn't played in 10, 12 years and just play them like it's nothing, and then she can jump on the drums and play the drums, or she can jump on the piano and play the piano.
Boy, that sounds just like my wife, and that was infuriating to me. It's like, oh my goodness. Okay, she hears a song on the radio, and then we go into Guitar Center, and she gets bored of me playing around with stuff. So she goes into the acoustic room, grabs a guitar or a ukulele or whatever, and then just starts playing it and singing it. And it's like,
yeah,
okay, I'd have to work at that for like a week, and I still wouldn't sound as good. I mean, and it's what's interesting about that is I think it might be the same way for you and me as well. There are technical things that we kind of focus on that we might be better at individually, individual items, individual skill sets, but that overall musicianship, you either have that or you don't, I think, where you can just do that. you know, because I know there's things like I'm actually probably a better guitar player than my wife, but I would never say I'm a better musician.
Mm-hmm.
And it's because she doesn't pick up a guitar, but maybe once every 6 months.
Yeah.
And I'm playing it for hours a day. But hey, it's kind of interesting that, I mean, that's very similar to my situation. And I don't know, my wife bought me
My
a
wife.
metronome. Yeah, okay. We don't want to steal stuff from other podcasts.
That's right.
Um, like, like she bought me a metronome as one of my first gifts from her, like a big wind-up metronome.
Oh, what was that trying
And
to
it's
tell
like,
you, right?
oh, and she was totally, you know what? She was totally right.
Yeah.
Totally right. It's like, man, you got to get your time down. And when I did, it's like, okay, well, this isn't bad. You're not an annoying guitar player to play with.
I've heard that so many times.
Yeah, for sure.
Well, I can definitely relate with that.
Yep. Yeah, that's an interesting commonality there. And I think that having a wife that's a naturally talented musician by default turns you into a good musician.
Yeah. Well, my wife doesn't play any musical instruments. Tried to teach her bass once, but she's a pretty good music critic. We'll be like I've gone and seen people play before, and it won't be like a professional show, and she'll be like, well, this is if they would do this better and do this, then they'd be a whole lot better, and I'm like, wow, it's amazing how you can critique music like that and not even be a musician. So I think she could possibly, like, if she picked up an instrument, because she definitely has the ear for it. What about you, Michael?
I got a Strat build I'm working on. It's a pink Strat, and I was looking for some pickups in it, and I reached out to your buddy, or Nick's buddy, Nick, from Great Lakes Guitar Pickups, and so I got those in, and I'm excited to get these in. I told him that I wanted something kind of low output, sweet, maybe a little mid push with some top end clarity, but not really shrill. And so he did his magic. I don't have them in yet, so I can't tell you how I like them, but I'm pretty sure they're going to be pretty awesome. So
Cool. They look very similar to mine. The difference being that I think that all of yours had metal plates on the back. Or do you just does just the bridge?
I don't know. I can look at them real quick.
I think all of them had them. When you showed me the pic, it's like, and then your output's actually lower than my output, which I asked for low output, but I think that I wanted really clear and defined. I didn't really want a mid push. I wanted it to sound like Mark Knopfler type Strat.
Okay. No, it looks like just the bridge has the metal.
Yeah, that makes a huge difference, man. You put that in, you won't want to play any other Strat bridge pickup. It's huge.
He recommended it, and I said, you do your thing. I'll run with it, whatever. So.
That sounds cool. I was hoping you'd have those in. I'm really excited to hear what you think of them.
Yeah, I've had a busy week, so I haven't had any time to really sit down and work on that.
Yeah, I can't wait to see where that project goes. That sounds really fun. I have not taken on a build like that. And I've seen, this is like your second one, right?
Technically, probably my third.
Okay.
I ordered an MJT kit. It all came together, but I had to. So I got all the pieces, basically, and I ended up I put some stuff together, but I ended up taking the rest of it to my local guitar store. And then I have another MJT body, but I sourced everything else myself. And then I have this. This is also an MJT body, and I've sourced everything else myself. So, but this Strat build, I'm not taking it into the guitar tech. I'm doing it all myself.
That should be pretty straightforward. And then you could probably go even to Fender's website and just follow their setup guide, and get pretty close.
I will say the thing that may throw me a curveball is I ordered the electronics that came with it, the tone pot. When you pull the tone pot, it actually completely bypasses the tone pot in the bridge. in the bridge position. So I think it'll give it some extra push, from my understanding. I don't know. I was looking on Reverb, and that was one of the options I had. I saw for the electronics, and I thought I'd just go for it.
That's actually a good idea for a Strat, because a lot of times if you use that in between position, and you have your tone rolled off just a touch, it kind of makes that in between position really weak. Where but you can set your tone on your, because I know that when I do my wiring for my strats, I always put the tone to just the bridge, and I always have the middle wide open with no tone attached to it at all. But you do that in between position, and it takes that little woodiness of the middle pickup, which is so great, away if you have the tone turned on at all. That's actually a pretty cool mod.
Yeah.
We'll see how it goes. I'll see how I like it. And I may hate it. We'll see.
Well, nice thing is it's just a pot. It's really super simple to change if you don't like it.
Exactly. And I'm at the point in my guitar journey where I'm just like, well, let's just try this and see. I'm just, the other MJT build I got, I put wide range pickups in it, and I had the tech wired up so the rhythm circuit actually turns it into running in series and not in parallel. So
that's cool.
I thought it would be cooler than it actually is. It's not. I thought it would give it some like extra push or extra punch, but there's really not that much of a difference.
It turned it
not
really warm, right? Kind of make it warmer.
Yes, and the other thing I had to do was in the rhythm circuit, I changed out the 50K pot to a 1 meg pot because it turned it completely dark.
Yeah,
it was
that turned into
basically basically unusable for what I would use it for. So
it'd be cool with like a top, like if you had a top boost or something like that, or a treble like a Screaming Bird or something like that, and then you ran that really mucky thing through it. But you kind of you're kind of defeating the purpose of it then.
Yeah.
Yeah.
When I have on the Kemper, I have a treble boost that I could use no problem. So that may be something I look into. We'll see.
Yeah, but you got the Kemper though. That's the thing. I mean, you don't really need all that switching stuff on the guitar so much, right? It's just for fun.
Yeah, it's just for fun. I wanted to see what these wide range pickups sounded like, and they honestly just sound like humbuckers that are clear. But I have Jazzmaster pickups that are noiseless, and I don't know, they sound very similar to me.
Yeah.
So
what about you, Josh? What's new with you?
Well, not really so much in the gear front, but I since we last talked about what's new, I played at an open mic kind of for the first time. I wasn't planning on playing, and I said, and I don't think I talked about this on the podcast. Did I talk to you about it? But
yeah, I think you just talked to me about it.
Yeah, and so I was invited by a friend, and I'm like, well, man, I don't have any songs ready for this, and he said, well, just come. There might be some extra people there, but and it turned out that it was a good thing I brought my instruments, because there was a fella that was kind of shy to go up there with, and he kept on walking around saying, I need a lead player. I need a lead player if I'm going to play. And so I'm like, well, okay, I can play some lead with you. And so I ended up playing like almost, I think 8 songs with him and 4 songs with with my friend who hosted the open mic, and I had never played any of the songs before. But I ended up playing lead through them and singing with a couple of them, and it was like, man, this is really fun. This is something that I haven't done in years, and it's working completely different muscles than doing the Sunday thing or doing the Wednesday night thing, or even just learning a song for fun. And also, I've been really I played mandolin last Sunday, and I've been really, even before that, starting to get more and more back into my mandolin and my acoustic, and so I've basically hook up my electric to practice now for Sundays, and that's about it. And it's like, man, it's just so much more fun to pick up my mandolin or pick up my guitar, my acoustic, than to pick up my electric right now. Also, I think is it the Intelligent Vocalist, or there's two vocal podcasts that I listen to, and it's been kind of revolutionary for my singing. I've been learning to do something really simple, because I'm a small frame person, and I have an overbite. And so when I sing and when I speak, it's pretty weak, and it's hard for me to get a lot of projection. And they made this little suggestion to drop your jaw and kind of put it forward just a touch, and kind of put your face into a smile. And it's like it's been kind of revolutionary for my singing, and it's made it so much easier to get enough volume out. Like I was telling you guys before the podcast started, we had a thing last night, and normally if I was singing without a microphone, I wouldn't have any voice left at all. And I ended up singing for 40 people, 40 kids, singing with me and singing over top of them. 3 songs with a bunch of extended choruses because there was no, and they were all high energy songs, of course. And I managed to do that, and I still have a voice today.
That's awesome.
Which I would not have had that a year ago without that simple thing. That, and I'm learning that warm-ups are kind of important.
Yeah.
Because I just go in dry and blow my voice out during practice usually. But now, so yeah, actually, it's actually been a musical journey for me. It hasn't really been a gear thing these past couple of weeks.
Yeah.
And it's been really, really nice because, I mean, I can sit here and obsess about gear all I want, but it's not going to make me into a better musician. And I've kind of felt like I'm becoming the musician that I want to be.
That's awesome.
Yeah, so it feels pretty good to me.
Yeah.
Yeah, I haven't been trolling near as much, which I kind of miss, but it'll come back. I'll find something to be annoyed about. But
Hey, Josh.
Yeah, go ahead, Mike.
What are the 2 vocal podcasts you listen to?
Well, one of them's The Intelligent Vocalist, but that's not the one that gave that advice. Let me see here. I can get on my Spotify really quick here. Because actually,
I tend to blow my voice as well. I don't consider myself a singer, but I have to sing occasionally, and I'm not good at it, and I lose my voice easily, I feel like.
Yeah, it's The Intelligent Vocalist. I really like the guy because he's super chill. He's kind of like, he kind of talks like, he's very relaxed, and he just kind of explains things very simply. And the other one's The Naked Vocalist. I think I remember it being 2 British dudes. But they really approach it more towards the teaching side. This guy kind of just takes things apart, and it's like what he does is so simple because I've read books on singing, and I did a lot of singing practice with these different books, and they have all this stuff talking about like getting your body resonating and stuff like that. And he's like, that's a feeling afterwards. That's not really what you need to focus on to get good basic tone. Your basic resonator is your mouth, and changing the shape of it. And then being a guitarist, it's like, okay, I can acoustic guitar. I can understand that. If I change the way the chamber is, and I change the way that my embouchure is, I can change the tone of my voice. And then the other thing is dropping your larynx. And it's like these 2 simple things, and then giving good breath support makes it a lot easier. I mean, I'm not saying a great singer, but it's made it so I have a voice today, where I wouldn't have yesterday, or I wouldn't have 2 years ago. So yeah, it's The Intelligent Vocalist and The Naked Vocalist. Naked Vocalist is better when they have guests because they kind of go all over the place. But the other guy's super focused, super simple, and very relaxed. And he deals with a lot of the mental stuff too. Yeah, I wish I could recommend a book, but all the books I have kind of focus on the wrong stuff. I mean, if you focus on something really simple like just producing a real sound and then reinforcing it right. I mean, I'm not a great singer, but that's it. And the thing is, Mike, you've got a tone to your voice where you could easily take that tone and turn it into something and probably get over instruments pretty easy without having to fight it. You've got that. You could probably push into Bill Monroe territory pretty quick, and you could blow out a room. I've
always felt probably bluegrass suits my voice the best. but
yeah, but look at there's lots of people who use that same tone of voice for all kinds of music. I wish I had that. I'm stuck with a weird baritone that I can barely get over E on, and like then you're trying to sing worship music where it's like it starts there. It's like, man. Yeah, for sure. But yeah, that's what's new with me. Yeah, what about you, Clifton?
Well, there's a couple things. Next week I'm going to be kind of out of my wheelhouse a little bit, and I'm going to be running sound all week at our youth camp for church. Kind of happened a weird way, but last year, after going to the same camp, and I went up to the guy I knew who was running sound, and I said, "Hey, the mix was really muddy." And I was like, "He's like, is there anything you can do?" And he was like, he was really stressed out, and he threw me his iPad. Okay, he was mixing on. I was like, "Well, here, you mix it."
Oh my goodness.
and anyways, over the course of the week, we got it down, and so he was like, this year he was like, "Look, I'm not going to be there, but all my gear is going to be there if you want to use it." And so, anyways, I've been tasked to run sound this next week, and I'm not usually a front of a house guy. It's kind of fun for me, because most of the time I'm like playing music, or singing, and it's kind of fun to do it this way. And the last couple years, I've kind of been reading up and watching people and trying to learn how sound works and how to put a system together and how to cut out a mix. And so it's kind of fun for me to take a break and do something different. And then I guess what else is new is I got an update on the Arcturus today. Looks like all the parts are in it except for the mastery. And he said it's just a couple days away from being delivered. And when that comes in, they're going to slap it together for me. So I'm excited about
not going to
that.
slap it together with.
But no, there's no slapping it together with Cower. But so yeah, that's kind of what's new with me. I was telling you earlier, there's another sound thing, and I guess this would probably be a good Flippin' Flippers story. But I picked up a pair of Mackie Thumps, I think it was a couple weeks ago, that came up on Facebook Marketplace, and it was really crazy. They were asking $40 for a pair of them, and it said does not work. And so like I'm immediately like messaging this person, and they're about like probably 15-20 minutes away from the church where I work at, and she messages me back and says, these are my husband's, we want them gone. We're there's like a dozen people messaging me already. Whoever gets here first is going to get them. And so like I literally hop in my car, go to the ATM and run down to the next town over and get these things. And fortunately I was the first person there. And it looks like they had just like done a move, like moved into this house. They were sitting there in the garage. I said, "What's going on?" She said, "I don't know anything about this. My husband owned a bar. He thinks something's wrong with them, and apparently we weren't asking enough money because we've got all these people asking for this, but I'm going to go ahead and sell them at this price." And I was like, "Okay, awesome." So I handed her the money. I go back to the church, test them out, and man, one of them works. Like, I don't know how, they missed that, but anyways, one of them works. And then, so I try to get the other one. It powers, like the indicator light comes on, but I'm not getting any signal. So do some research and found out that, now I took this thing apart and I'm looking, is there a fried capacitor, resistor, or whatever. And there's like one little place that looked a little iffy, and like I reflowed the solder at it, trying to get it to see if that would fix the problem, and it didn't. And anyways, all these parts are so tiny on the circuit board, and somebody in one of the forums I'm in suggested there's a module that you can buy where it's a couple of quick connects, you undo them, you pop in a new back panel, it's got the amplifier built in, and there you go, and it's like $150. So at this point, like, the church is interested in getting them, and so they ordered the amp for it, popped it in, it works, and now the church has a pair of Mackie Thumps. So I thought it was pretty cool.
Okay, so we had this idea, Clifton. Actually, I think that Nick brought it up, and then it was spawned also by what was done in the slum. And we had this idea of taking 3 different Southern accents and putting it to the groups and seeing what they might want you to say. Now, I'm going to not make them say salty stuff. As much fun as it would be, I don't speak in that manner. I don't think these 3 Southern gentlemen do either. So we're not going to do that. But we're going to go ahead and, well, the first suggestion was by this dude called Douglas King. And it says that he would like all 3 of our gentlemen to say the word guitar. And so, Clifton, why don't you start?
Guitar.
Okay. Michael?
Guitar.
Oh, look, it's Doug King. Why don't you say it next?
Guitar.
Okay, well, I mean, that's not too different. We could ham it up a little bit. Next thing, and I...
Up, it'd be bad.
Yeah. The next thing is, I know that we've heard this a bunch, and I know why Nick wants you to say it, Clifton. He wants all of you to say awesome. Clifton, why don't you start?
Awesome.
Yeah, that's something. Michael.
Awesome.
Okay. Now, Doug.
Awesome.
Okay. So it's really interesting. Clifton and Doug almost have the same sound to it. And Michael almost has a Chicago sound to the word. That's very interesting there. This one, how do you feel about saying the word dank, guys?
Dank.
Okay.
Dank. I don't even know what that is.
I love it. You got the perfect little crack there. Get a little yodel there. Doug.
Dank.
Oh, man. And then Brian Gower mentioned bonus points for saying Mondo Dank. So, Clifton?
Mondo Dank.
Michael?
Mondo Dank.
Doug?
Mondo Dank.
Okay. I'm going to skip mine. Nick is just bringing up a bunch of stuff. Nick wants you to say Joe Bonamassa was right about pedals and tone. Clifton?
I can't even say Bonamassa. Joe Bonamassa was right about pedals and tone.
Michael?
Joe Bonamassa was not right about pedals and tones.
Doug?
I agree with Michael. Joe Bonamassa was not right about pedals and tone.
Okay. All right. And Tim Worley, this dude, he says that he wants us to define the proper term for a sweetened carbonated beverage. And I know up here it's either soda or pop or the particular brand of soda that you would like.
Mm-hmm.
Clifton, what do you call the soft drink or the carbonated beverage in general?
Okay. I say soda, but I've heard several different things in my particular region. You know, the South isn't just one region. I mean, I'm here in South Mississippi, and Doug's a very long ways away from here, and even a different time zone in Southern Virginia. And in South Mississippi, a lot of people will say, especially the older people, will say Cokes. And Cokes, encompasses all soft drinks. Or, I've heard, especially older people, they'll say, go get me a cold drink. And that means anything that's probably in the ice chest. So
that's interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah. What about you, Michael?
Well, I grew up in West Virginia saying pop, but for survival's sake, I have just adopted the general term Coke.
Really? Huh.
Yeah, that's just what I say now. And honestly, I drink Coke most of the time anyway, so
Okay.
I mostly use the proper name of whatever I'm asking for.
Yeah. What about you, Doug?
Well, grew up calling, most carbonated beverages pop. But
Yeah.
now I kind of like Michael, I just kind of stick to the name of whatever I'm drinking at that time. But most of the time I call them soft drinks.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and that's kind of interesting. I think that's a lot more prevalent than what people would say. It is because maybe not on the West Coast, and which gets into one that comes from Aaron Abubo from the Gear Slum.
Coastal Elite.
Coastal Elites, yes. So go ahead, Clifton. I'm not going to make you say everything Aaron wants us to say.
Right.
But
I'm sure.
Clifton, you go ahead and say Coastal Elites again.
Coastal Elites.
Michael Newman.
West Coast communist nationalist.
Okay, I
should just say West Coast hipsters. Is that what they are?
You don't know the rules of this
They're
game, Mike.
millennials.
Oh, I'm
He's
sorry.
breaking the rules, y'all.
I will say it. Coastal elites.
Okay, and Douglas King.
Coastal Elites.
Oh man, I was not expecting so much spice there. All right, let's see here. Let's see. Oh,
we're on the coast too, though. Me and Michael both. So
yeah.
I don't know
I'm
why
on the
their
Gulf
coast
Coast.
is elite. Yeah.
I think we Northerners think that since there's so much melody in the Southern accent, that every Southerner can sing. And so, would you like to take that rumor and quash it in any way? It just seems to me, it seems like you go to a Southern church, and all of a sudden they have like harmonies going on, and they have like people who are singing too loud, which for Northern Michigan it'd be like, oh man, I would love to have people singing too loud.
Yeah.
They have people singing so loud that you can't hear the instruments and the PA, and it's like, well, that's not something we experience up here particularly. But is that true? All Southerners can sing.
Absolutely not. Because I hear some pretty terrible singers in the South.
You want to name names?
No.
Okay, so let's see here. I'm gonna start mining the slum for some more of these.
Okay.
Mountain Dew addicts. Ryan Saucier, the saucy guy, says that. So Mountain Dew addicts. Addicts. I can't say that. Addicts. Yep. Go
Mountain Dew addicts.
Michael.
Mountain Dew addicts.
Okay, and Doug.
Mountain Dew addicts.
And Saucy also has string in here. Go ahead, Clifton.
String.
Michael.
String.
Okay, and Douglas.
This is for everybody. Strang.
Is that really how you say it?
Nah.
Okay. Let's see how you really say it, though, too.
String.
You see? All right. Okay, and this is going to be, let's see here. We'll do, okay, Krista Leon, he had this whole thing with me. He wants y'all to say hootenanny.
Hootenanny.
Okay. Michael?
Hootenanny. Hootenanny.
Michael has to say it twice. Okay.
Well, I cut you off. So sorry.
Oh, yeah, well, that's par for the course there.
Well, I
Douglas.
just can't stop saying hootenanny.
Okay. Douglas.
Hootenanny.
Okay. Yeah, so now the slums questions are answered. This is what it sounds like when a bunch of Southerners get together and say words that you've chosen for them. I really wish that they would have picked better words, but
Yeah.
that's what it is. Yeah. So it's if this is not entertaining or fun.
Before
on.
before we move on, I want to do something.
Sure.
You and me, Doug, we're gonna recreate what Aaron Abubo and Phil tried to do.
Okay. I'm pretty sure I remember what they said.
Hey, Doug, what's happening?
Hey there, Clifton. How's it going?
Well, it's going really, really good.
I just wanted to tell you, Clifton, that I think what you do is awesome, and I really appreciate everything that you do. It's really awesome.
Well, thank you, Doug. That's very very kind. Well, I don't know. We'll compare and see.
That's you know
I
what?
feel left out.
It's because I think Michael, I think you and I are actually a little bit more similar than we are different. I think you got two really sweet guys over there with Clifton and Doug, and I think you got some more savory fellas on this side. So you put the.
Are we saucy?
I always no. There's only one saucy fella. There's
Oh,
only one saucy fella. Now, if we got saucy in here, we'd be able to do just about anything.
Oh,
Okay. So why don't we all say that? Why don't we all say saucy?
saucy.
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 All right.
Well,
Okay, so
yeah.
this has been really a lot of fun, this particular thing. And we've, I think, did a very valuable thing for science and for sociology
Yeah.
and for future generations. Because pretty soon you'll all be speaking like me.
I
We'll
doubt
all
it.
evolve to that, huh?
Hey, y'all.
I want to hear
I ain't
Michael
gonna
do
talk
one
about
thing
it.
though. I want to hear Michael do the "Hey y'all." I'm just what was it they say? In
Hey
the song?
y'all. What is it? The slurping and the burping?
Yeah.
Hey y'all. The slurping and burping over there? I don't know why they picked me to be that be my phrase, slurping and burping. I don't really ever say slurping and burping.
Yeah.
No, it's not actually you. It actually came from the Wampler chasing tone thing years and years ago, and I don't think they even remember it because the first couple episodes they had that fella, what was his name? Travis.
Yeah,
Travis.
Beast.
Oh, I know.
Yeah,
Travis,
and Travis used to do that all the time, and then everybody caught on to it for a while in the group or in the podcast, and then those fellows left, and I don't think Cole remembers that that's where it came from because that was like 2 years before the slum started, and they would roll that thing around for 15 minutes when they didn't have anything to say. And now, the Wampler cast is still fun, but it's really topical. So, it's something. Yeah. So
Travis comes back on every once in a while.
Yeah,
it's always a lot of fun when he does.
He's a riot. He's a riot.
Yeah,
for
that
sure.
last time he came on was hilarious.
Yeah.
That's funny. I didn't know that. So you just myth bust right there.
Yeah. I like to step on hopes and dreams.
Yeah, but you know what? And I'm just gonna go a little sociological here for a minute. Really do like to debunk myths, and there's a certain reputation the South may have, and I like to bust that sometimes and say, you know what, we're not that much different than the rest of the nation in some aspects, and I think we all have our own cultures going and our own way of lives, but at the same time, there's a lot of common interest as well. And so, you might have the coastal elites, but, you also got pretty cool coast here on the Gulf Coast. So,
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I think that's really a pretty common misconception that, that just because you guys speak a little bit slower or because people from the Northwest put so much emphasis in their words and make everything sound like it's really important, and people from the East Coast tend to speak in such a way that everything sounds like it must be true when they speak it, and people from the West Coast speak in such a chill way that you think they must have meditated on it all day long. Just because you speak in that way doesn't mean that you're necessarily that kind of person. For sure. Yeah.
yeah.
Yep.
Yep. So, I mean, when it comes to the Southern accent thing, I'm mostly, depends on if I'm around maybe some of my family who talks with a whole lot more Southern drawl. it starts rubbing off on me for a little
Oh,
bit,
yeah.
and then it just depends on your environment. If I'm sure when I go out to the West Coast, I still got like a sore thumb. But here, it's just normal. It's a way of life. And I don't know. I find myself talking a lot slower because I'm thinking about what I'm going to say. So that's my
Well, yeah.
story, and I'm sticking to it.
Yeah.
Well, and not all Southerners talk slow. Some people
No.
I can't understand. They can kind of sound like Boomhauer from
Yeah.
King of the Hill.
Yeah.
And it's
Yeah.
like, what? Huh? Can you start that again?
Actually, it's kind of interesting because you speak at what I would call a northeastern speed almost, and then Doug and Clifton speak at quite a lot slower speed. I've had to learn to speak slower so that people can understand me through business and through this podcast here. But yeah, my normal speaking speed is quite a lot faster, for sure. Yeah, I do hear you. There's a certain number of dudes that really do speak quite a lot faster with a southern accent, which I think might make it a little bit more difficult.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh
Yes.
yeah. Yeah, for sure. And then right across the state line is a completely different dialect in Louisiana. It's almost, and there's like a suburb where everybody sounds like they're from Jersey over there, which is just weird. But you've been in New Orleans, Josh, so you know.
Well, yeah, I didn't go very deep.
Yeah.
Yeah, I basically was there to eat and there to listen to music, and that's about it. Yep. I'm not, and then ride the what's that thing called? The streetcars there.
Mhm.
And that's about it, really. I'm not particularly interested in people.
You're on the wrong podcast, buddy.
I hate people. They're the worst.
We could, if we just got rid of them, everything would be a little bit better.
Well,
They can cook and
that
stuff.
there's that thinking. I like individuals as I meet people. Yeah, hey, I like it. But people in general, it's like I hate you all. Get
Yeah.
away from me.
People can be
That's
terrible.
dead on. That's dead on accurate. But not Doug. Doug seems to love everybody.
Yeah.
Doug is love.
Yeah, yeah, seriously. That's
Hey,
it.
I mean, I'm just trying to spread some positivity. There's enough negativity in the world.
That's right.
Yep. That's true. And that's when you came in, it was like a breath of fresh air in every group there, Doug. You come in there and you just be so nice and friendly to everybody, and talking up all the great stuff that people are doing. And it's like, you do forget how much work it is that people put into podcasting and put into providing that entertainment, and even that person talking to you when you're on your way to work. And Doug seems to remind us all of that. And
Although there is no question as to who is his favorite.
Well, we know that.
And I'm always looking for what he says in other groups to see if he messes up at all, just to double check that.
Yeah.
Michael's fact checking over there.
He's going to call you out. If you ever make that mistake, Doug, he's going to call you out.
Oh. Well, this has been fun, guys. This is what WorleyBirds is all about. Is just hanging out and talking culture and making fun of ourselves a little bit. And I had a lot of fun, talking guitars and what's new. And appreciate you guys for coming on tonight.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah, it was a blast, man.
Oh yeah, we'll have to do it again. And so this is what the Southern accent is all about. And hope you guys enjoy this show. Just real quick, want to remind everyone that you can follow the show on the Facebook group is where we have a lot of the interactions of the Clifton Worley Show, or you can go to the CliftonWorleyShow.com. We have the website up now. You can follow every time we release an episode, or you can go on Podbean, iTunes. You can even follow us on YouTube. And so it'd be very much appreciated if you would follow us there. And thanks for listening to the show.